what happens? We're young. When we're young, we're an infant. We start to age and we become a nice, pretty young lady or a healthy, handsome man. That's called positive aging. We want our genes to change in a fast fashion so that those genes produce cells that are strong, healthy, our immune system is wonderful, and our body composition is great. The problem is, as we go from a healthy adult onward, at about maybe 35, 40, the damage to our DNA, our genetic software, the body can no longer repair the damage as it occurs. So what happens is, our cells get damaged, they're not healthy, we start to experience high blood pressure, we start to gain some weight, we might develop, without a question, we start to see wrinkles. Okay, but that's where the aging process becomes negative. One of the secrets to avoiding that is repairing the damage to our DNA, is helping our cells function more optimally, is getting the body the right nutrients it needs so that your cells and your genetic software can function optimally. Unhealthy cells. This has been really the focus of research in the last 2 years. These cells that are damaged, we used to think, well, you got all these other cells. But the problem is, it's not just our body cells get damaged, it's our stem cells that get damaged so that they cannot repair and restore your body and keep it in good shape. So we're going to talk about this again as we review some of the other products that we've been designing. So if you take a look at this, what really happens is, as we're an adult in this optimal aging window, we have very few senescent or damaged cells. We feel great, we function great, but as soon as that ratio of healthy cells to unhealthy cells start to get close to each other, you'll see people age very quickly. And I'm sure everybody here in this room has run into friends after 2 or 3 years and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And in your mind you're going, "My God, they look terrible. I don't hope that doesn't happen to me." It's usually an aunt or an uncle or a grandmother or a grandfather, and you say, "Oh my goodness." What you're seeing is the ratio of these unhealthy cells approach the healthy cells, and those people age very quickly. The good news is, we now know the science behind that, and we can impact that. So DNA repair is one of the key things that we're going to discuss and show you how the product family of Jeunesse really impacts this both topically and orally. So when we look at DNA inside our body, if you remember, I said we have roughly 100 trillion cells, 6 feet of DNA in each cell. Okay, here's the secret. Our body suffers damage to that DNA hundreds of thousands of times a day, but we have other genetic software that fixes that damage. Now, when we say damage, for instance, the cells, the DNA can be, one of the strands can be broken, 2 of the strands can be broken, which you see in cancer, therapy, radiation. That's not the only damage we suffer. For instance, your genetic software can suffer mutations, okay, inversions where it's flipped around, transitions where segments of the gene jump to other segments of the gene. So mutations, inversions, transitions, single strand, double strand breaks are all different types of damage that we look at, and we're focusing on the underlying science and how to maintain healthy DNA. So in 2014 and 2015, our team at Rutgers University was honored enough to receive Nobel Prize nominations for an interesting way of actually helping our DNA repair itself, work better, and have the genes that keep us healthy actually be able to reverse the aging process in stem cells. And we were able to show for the first time that we took 80-year-old stem cells, and with a specific process called epigenetics, that is, not taking genes out or putting them in, but if you fed those genes the right compounds, they actually turned off the aging genes and the young genes turned back on again. When everybody said that was impossible. So, of course, coming from New Jersey, when someone tells us it's impossible, you say, "Sure, let me show you why it's not." And, New Jersey people are a little strange. We're a little bit of renegades. So this research took about 2 years. And when we were looking at this research, what we realized is it just doesn't happen in the lab. It happens from the food you eat. It happens from the thoughts you have. It happens from how you exercise. So let me just tell you something. There's been a number of published data that show that if your mind is in a constant state of negativity or stress, you turn on certain genes and off others genes. People who are stressed age quicker and have more DNA damage. People who exercise regularly age much slower. The telomeres, the little clocks that determine cell division, actually get longer if you exercise and you eat the right types of food. So what we realize is that the old adage that you're born with this genetic tendency, you know, my mother and father had high blood pressure, they had cancer, I'm going to get it. Well, what we know now is 30% of your future health and present health is dictated by your genes. 70% is dictated by your lifestyle and the information you have. So that makes you really responsible for your health, and there's no excuse. Okay. So A and PM essentials, reserve, affinity, all work actually at this, if you will, epigenetic level, helping to change and switch off and switch on different genes. So again, coming back to this comment about, gee, if we look at one cell, we understand the basic concepts behind staying healthy, one cell. Well, why shouldn't it work for stem cells, body cells, and all types of cells? In fact, it does. Okay, so proper nutrients and phytochemicals. Okay, nutrients, vitamins and minerals are one thing your cells need so they can work normally, but your body needs other compounds that you usually get from food, your diet, to really regulate how healthy those cells will stay and how well you function. Now, the secret in creating healthy cells is really picking the right compounds that can enter the cell, give the cell the nutrition or building blocks that your genes need to work optimally, but also allow the waste products that the cell produces to leave. So that was another little challenge we had to face, and we spent quite a bit of time working on that. Okay, so this whole concept of changing genes, okay, there's been a lot of information on the internet saying, well, this is ridiculous, you can't do that. And any comments you see about that are based from people who have no idea about the underlying science about cell aging and what's going on. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of articles that support lifestyle, meditation, exercise, diet, and most importantly, what you ingest really can make a difference in what genes are active or not active. So we say what we call activated or deactivated has to do with, are those genes switched on or off? And guess what? We now have a map of what genes are the good genes we want off and the bad genes, the good genes we want on and the bad genes we want off. This is just one of our minor charts about, here's the genes, you don't have to really know this, but the genes here that cause cell aging, we've actually looked at. For instance, compounds like polyphenols, like grape skin extract, like resveratrol, they not only interact on one gene, they might interact on 2 or 3 genes. And they'll turn down certain genes. For instance, in reserve, one of the key ingredients is resveratrol. We've all heard about that. Now, resveratrol happens to act on a specific gene that causes your cells to get old or senescent very quickly. That's called mTOR. And if you take resveratrol, you take it in an easily assimilated, good-tasting form, you actually can slow that gene down. So this is just a general overview about what we're looking at doing to our cells to keep them healthy with all the products that Jeunesse has designed. All right, so 500,000 years ago, we were all, I guess we could call us Neanderthals or early humans. From 500,000 to about 200 years ago, nothing really changed. Our environment was pretty stable. We ate all natural foods. We did not have McDonald's or Popeyes, or we didn't have all these fast food places that have really changed and damaged the genetic software that we were designed to work healthy on. So what we did do is look at different diets, and what did those diets consist of were natural compounds, not just plants, but herbs, enzymes, and different things that humans used to eat naturally. But unfortunately, those things are only available certain times of the year, right? So we looked at these compounds. We then looked at a chart that says what genes, we now know what genes those compounds influence, and we actually started to create something that no one had really created before. And that was a new way of taking in condensed food in the form of 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the evening that would give you really what you needed. So Epigenetics, what really is it? It's the science of turning genes on and off. It's nothing fancy. But here's, if we take a look at what happens, if this was your strand of DNA, those little red compounds, let's say, are ingredients that you would find in Infinity, Reserve, AMPM. And what happens is, as those compounds get into your cell, your genetic software, the cell will uncoil. Okay, and as that cell uncoils, different genes are exposed for instance, resveratrol to move right onto and dock into. That will turn a gene down. Other compounds will go in there and turn genes up. So basically, epigenetics is the science of understanding how to really program our genetic software inside our cells. So when the coils of DNA are open, that's when our genes are usually activated. And when they're closed, that's when our genes are usually turned off. And we're now able to really make a difference, not on every gene, but on many of the important genes that dictate how healthy we are, our body composition, how good our memory is. So this was a big, big step forward. Okay? So then what we wanted to do is do something else. We wanted to be able to look at what are the key things that happen to all of us as we age. How many people here have sleeping problems? Okay. No, well, maybe 20%. That means most of you are probably taking our products already. The vast majority of people as they hit 40, 50 have difficulty sleeping. Why is that extremely important? Cell repair, stem cell work, repairing your DNA is vastly present when you're sleeping. And if you don't go into deep sleep, your body doesn't release the compounds it needs to fix your cells. I guarantee you, people who have work schedules where they're shifting, they're flying, they're jet lagged, they age quicker, they're unhealthier. So what we came up with was a whole new revolutionary approach to what we now know, or in the past knew, were vitamins and minerals. So how would you know? I could tell you the list of everything you take. For instance, in AMPM, there's 92 ingredients. 92. Enzymes, phytochemicals, vitamins, minerals, other compounds, each one triggered and put together so that the cell will work more optimally in each one of its compartments. We did a little study. I don't have the picture, I wish I did. We bought all the individual ingredients that's in AMPM, Infinity, Reserve, and put them on a plate. It was about 10 inches high and about 1.5 feet wide. So it was physically impossible for you to eat all that stuff daily. It would be virtually impossible. Actually, it is impossible. No one tried. So what you have here is not only the most pure, condensed form of these essential compounds, but you're taking them at the right time of day. And if you take compounds, certain compounds in the morning, when you need them in the evening, your body also doesn't respond well because our bodies have a built-in, if you will, bio-clock to do certain things in the morning and certain things in the evening. So the second component to the products that you'll see Jeunesse has designed is actually helping to regulate the body's repair clock and daily clock. So in all three of the key products, Reserve, Infinity, AMPM, there are specific focuses for each one of those groups of compounds that interact with different components of the cell. Again, to keep it healthy and to keep it functioning longer. Most of these compounds come from natural sources. One of the nicest things I get to do is I get to go to the rainforest or the North Atlantic and actually look for these things. And I have fun. So I had a few years ago, I went to Costa Rica and I found some interesting things that really have made an impact on what we're doing with our products. And I actually get paid to do this, so this is a lot of fun. It's a great job. What you don't see is a snake next to my foot on the right-hand side, and I screamed like a little girl about 30 seconds after this picture, which I made sure they didn't include it. Okay, so now what happens? You could have the best products in the world, topically and orally, but if they don't get absorbed through the skin or they don't get absorbed through the intestine, they're no good. If you read on the internet, the vast majority of vitamin and mineral supplements come out the way they go in. So we in the United States have been accused of having the healthiest sewers in the world because most of those products don't even get absorbed or break down. Now, The other piece of interesting information we found out in the last few years is your intestines are the organ that ages the quickest. Very interesting. Now, why is that important? Last year, an article was published that says your intestines are directly linked to your brain via a whole new system of anatomy no one knew was there. What does that mean? The more inflammation you have in your intestines, the more upset your intestines are, the foggier your brain is. Number two, your immune system, the vast majority of the immune system comes from your intestines. So if you have poor intestinal function, your immune system declines. So these are all new pieces of information that really impact directly on some of the things we're doing with product development. For instance, AMPM has 4 different types of enzymes. It has the food that your bacteria normally has in your intestines to make and to digest the food and to extract the vitamins and minerals from your food. Those are included in there too. Affinity, reserve are all designed to be rapidly absorbed. So the key thing here is to know that the science behind the products that a company makes are not just ingredients, but they're functioning, they're doing something. So coming back to the body's bioclock, this is another unique kind of concept that's really was only designed into Jeunesse products until a few years. I think about a year ago when I started to notice all these other companies were starting to do an AM/PM formula. Well, that's because they finally understood the secret we've known for years, is that in the morning, your cells are programmed to work at full speed, okay? Basically to help you maintain your energy and to produce and be functional during the day. In the evening, your cells are programmed for cell repair, okay, and to put you into deep sleep. And if you don't do that, if that biological clock program into each cell isn't present, you are not healthy, okay? So, and that goes for both your stem cells and your body cells. So there's 2 different formulas, and so people ask me, well, why do I have to take this stuff in the morning? Because there's a different set of genes that need to be activated in the morning as opposed to the evening. For instance, there are certain compounds that are released at night in the PM formula and in some of the other affinity formula as well. There are compounds that help your brain go into what we call deep sleep, which is theta. It's a brainwave frequency. If you're delta and theta, if your brain doesn't go into that deep sleep mode, it doesn't release growth hormone and it doesn't release other hormones that activate the cell repair process. So if you take a sleeping pill, for instance, and you say, well, I slept well, sleeping pills don't put your brain into that state. So you may be thinking you're sleeping deeply, but you're not getting the impact of your body being able to repair itself. So this is all part of the science that is packed into 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the evening. Okay, so what really makes Jeunesse's products unbelievably successful? And there has been no other MLM company in the world who has experienced the rapid growth this company has. There's no other MLM company in the world who has the depth of science, the ongoing foresight to look at the new things that are coming down the line to incorporate in their product line. And what that results is an experiential effect. If you take vitamins and minerals, you say, well, I have to take it because they're good for me. You don't feel the difference. When you take Jeunesse's products, you will not only feel the difference, you'll become addicted to feeling good, which is what we want you to do. And in a recent survey, what you'll see is we surveyed a couple of hundred people. And after 4 weeks, 8 weeks, about 65% of them said they had, 58% said they had a dramatic increase in energy, 68% were sleeping better, mental focus, almost 60% were better, their stress was reduced by almost 60%. At 12 weeks, they even felt better. Now, if I could make that a prescription medication, it would be a blockbuster drug, okay? But you know what? Pharmacy companies aren't focused on helping you work at the origin of disease or aging. They focus on treating symptoms so that they can keep on selling their medications. Our science, and that's the truth. The future of medicine is not about treating symptoms. The future of medicine is about working at the origin of diseases, origin of aging, and maintaining function, maintaining good quality life. So that's our whole focus here. So AM, PM, Reserve, Finity are really based on a whole new science, which is way beyond the science of just vitamins and minerals. And I'm not saying vitamins and minerals are bad, but this is where the science is going. Okay? So let's take a look at Reserve. Reserve is probably the best-selling product that Jeunesse has to offer. Why? It tastes great, it's easy to take, you're not swallowing tablets. Now Reserve has a number of key ingredients, again, that actually trigger certain genes on and off. And again, we talked about this key gene called mTOR, capital M-T-O-R. That's the one that causes your cells to age more rapidly. So resveratrol has not only been documented to do that, but resveratrol in the literature documents and really helps keep your telomeres, which are our little aging clocks that determine how many divisions your cells make, actually helps keep them longer. Now, aside from that, it has antioxidants. It has essential fatty acids, which decrease the inflammation in your intestines, okay? It has other ingredients that help joint function, and basically, that product has already been tested to make sure it's absorbed and is functional, okay? Big focus here is trying to neutralize those old aging cells. Aloe vera, grapeseed extract, green tea extract, all contribute to that as well. Okay, blueberry, pomegranate, cherry, acai, extracts from these juices help inhibit the free radicals, which are one of the key sources of inflammation and DNA damage. So Reserve is a core player in the symphony of the products that we need to start looking at on a regular basis and use. Okay, and it has ingredients that help repair and maintain DNA and limit DNA damage. Resveratrol, we talked about this. Resveratrol is probably one of the most important new nutraceuticals that we've been looking at. The new research on keeping stem cells healthy has recently been released on this product as well. So we've just talked about the core products that Jeunesse has, the oral products. I didn't get a chance to talk about Zen, which is a phenomenal program and a system of products, again based on the science of manipulating body composition, but I'm sure you'll hear all about that. So with the proper nutrients and phytochemicals, our skin cells actually make more copies of themselves, and as they wear out, you're going to see the turnover of those cells quicker, and you're going to see better quality of skin. Okay, so skin aging has two causes. Okay, yes, if you're out in the sun, you live in the tropics, you're going to get exposed to UVA, UVB damage. Your cells in your skin are going to damage quicker, and you're going to age and wrinkle quicker. But that doesn't mean there's things you can't do. Intrinsic aging means what happens inside your body, because if you're aging quickly inside your body, and even if you don't live in the tropics, you're going to get wrinkles at age, and your skin's going to get loose and flabby as well. So free radicals, which are produced inside the body, just in the normal process of, if you will, life, are a major cause of skin aging as well. So in reality, it's a combination of both. Okay. Now, the Luminesce product line is probably, I think, and I see product lines daily from many, many different companies, one of the most advanced product lines in the world. And it really focuses, again, on what's happening inside the cell. And we're going to talk about growth factors and stem cells in just a minute, but you see this product line, I'm not going to go into each one of the products, but again, they're designed to work synergistically. So you're starting to see the secret behind Jeunesse. This isn't just another company that has some vitamins and minerals, and here's some topical stuff, and here's some makeup. This is a company that was founded from the very beginning on core science and continues to grow on core science that really impact what's going on. Okay, so stem cells. As I mentioned to you, we have both stem cells and body cells. Now, we have stem cells not only in our bone marrow, but every organ has stem cells, and the skin has probably the largest number of stem cells. But they sit there kind of in a sleep mode until your skin is damaged, you have a cut, you have a burn, the stem cells then get activated, okay? And what they do is go over to your body, your skin cells, and help repair. But in general, what those cells do the stem cells produce growth factors. What are growth factors? They're proteins, and they're combinations of DNA and RNA. And what do those things do? They help your skin make more collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, which is this kind of material that holds moisture in your skin. And one of the unique projects, if I will. Dr. Newman was really one of the first people to really understand this and came up with a way of growing human stem cells and taking out those growth factors and using them topically so that they can really help your skin make more copies of themselves, more collagen and elastin, and create a more youthful, healthy skin. But that was the first step. The second step was, how do you take those growth factors and get them through the dermis of the skin? And that's, again, some of his work, which not only came up with the artificial fat cells, but also added to those growth factors, if you will, other antioxidants and compounds together that made those growth factors work more efficiently. We'll start that video if we may. So each one of these products has a specific function to do different things for your skin, to enhance collagen, to deposit those growth factors, to protect you from the sun. The intensive night repair works with your body's clock to help with the repair process, which occurs mainly at night. You have here probably one of the most attractive, but more importantly, one of the most effective systems for aging of the skin. So, what is Jeunesse? I mean, see, I don't even look at it as an MLM or a network marketing company. I look at it as a company that's completely dedicated to enhancing the quality of people's lives, the quality of your lives, and the quality of everybody you get involved with you. The system works together. Each one of these products is like a piece of a puzzle that fits together to make those cells, from the level of your DNA onward, work better. Finity, let's briefly talk about Finity. Now, Finity is a unique product. One of the more recent pieces of information we found out that inside each one of the cells is a cellular clock, and in the upper right-hand corner, you look like these X's. Those are our genes. Every time the cell makes a copy of itself, that upper little tip of the gene starts to get shorter, and after about 50 or 60 copies, the cell stops copying itself, and it sits there, does nothing but make negative exhaust, like we talked about. That little cap is called a telomere, and the longer you can keep that long, the more divisions that cell will make and the healthier you'll be in both your stem cells and your body cells. Now, Affinity has such unique ingredients. It's really one of the only products that has been documented to really impact or slow the shortening of that telomere to help your cells be more functional and make more copies so you stay healthier longer. So when we start to look at the combination of the Luminesce product line, the AM/PM products, Finity, Reserve, I started off explaining to you that, well, we have products that work from the inside out and products that work from the outside in. And you have to think of this as a three-dimensional puzzle based on all the science of cellular aging. So as you start to use these products one by one, you not only experience feeling better, you start to look better. And really what you're doing is cheating the aging process because you're working at the origin of aging, not at the symptoms of aging. So what is Jeunesse? Jeunesse is now the most rapidly growing company in this field, in the MLM and network marketing. It will become, without a question, the #1 company in the world. And whether that's a year from now or 2 years from now, it's going to happen without a doubt, because I can tell you there is no other company that I know of that has a science that comes close to this. So everybody in this room is really lucky to be part of this, and more importantly, have the information. If you remember, I said to you, 30% of your future health and present health is due to your genes. 70% is due to the information that you get. And my job is to constantly update this information to make sure that 70% of influence you have in your present and future health continues to get more and more extensive. So it's your genes, it's your environment, which is your products, your supplements. It's your lifestyle. It's your thought process. It's how you exercise. It's how you eat. All of these things dictate your future health.
No.
Now, while aging is inevitable, okay, I like to end my whole quick, this is a very condensed talk, but I like to end this with the fact that you are the captains of your ship. You're in charge of your future health. And the information that both Jeunesse gives you, the products, the information designed behind these product development are really the cutting edge in science. And probably a lot of these things your doctors don't even know about. And 5-6 years from now, they'll be telling you these things that you already heard, okay? This is just a few of my books. I have like 2 or 3 other books. These are available on Amazon that give you intense information about all this stuff, which in 25 minutes, I hope I didn't overwhelm you, but I gave you the basic information about what makes Jeunesse a great company. I'll end with this. When Wendy and Randy first came to me, I guess it was almost 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago, time goes by so quick. They said to me, we'd like you to be the scientific spokesperson and help us. And the first thing I thought was, the last thing I'm going to do is get involved with a multi-level marketing company. That is, what, are you kidding me? And I'll tell you what changed my mind. I sat there and I listened to Wendy. I met Randy, I met Scott, and I said, these people truly want to do something to help the quality of people's lives. And I said, you know, give this a year. At the end of the year, I was completely blown away because the first couple of meetings I went to, there were doctors in the audience, there were attorneys, there were successful businessmen who had left their jobs to do this. And I said, wait a minute, this is really an interesting company. I interviewed those people, and I said, you know, what's the most important asset you have? And I spoke to a couple of doctors, and I was thinking, they say, well, my house, my bank account. And it was the same thing that I had been preaching for years. Your most important asset is your health. Your most important asset is the quality of time you have with the people you love and your friends. And how do you enhance or increase that asset is with the latest science behind staying healthy and the aging process. And I was sold because it was the people who make up this audience that I originally spoke to that really convinced me that this was a place to go where I could reach more people and change their lives with the science we were doing. Because the stuff that we do in the lab may not reach anyone for 10 years from now. But Jeunesse is not only an avenue for products and information, but each one of you really are not distributors. I keep on telling people this when I talk. You're ambassadors to health. Everybody you talk to about Jeunesse's products, you can change their lives, aside from changing yours. They can change other people's lives. And life is about making everybody's life better. And aside from being responsible for that major piece of information to yourself and other people, you have a great life, a great living, and you meet like-minded people who just spur you on further. Those are the secrets behind the success of Jeunesse. Science, a family attitude, the fact that each one of you, when you become a distributor, are not just salespeople. You're truly ambassadors to health and change people's lives. So thank you for listening, and I'm sure you're all going to be successful this coming year.
Wow. What a speaker, what a knowledge. Well, we're following that up with another medical specialist, somebody who understands this from both ways. And as I spent time with this fantastic lady, it's been interesting to hear from the science point of view, but then also from her life experience point of view. She is a specialist in exercise physiologist, but she also has a long and distinguished history as a ballerina. And if you know anything about the ballet, it's an incredibly difficult discipline that requires hard work.